Okay, so it's Tuesday and I'm about 6 minutes late, but I'm here. Uh, as I was setting this up, I hopefully have the comments section fixed, unlike last week, so that if anyone posts a question, I'll be able to see it in the comments and hopefully answer your question. Uh, I'll start today with another email from Shorty. Uh, so Shorty's question is, after 5 years, do you have to apply or just buy your home defense weapon? And is your vehicle an extension of your home? Please clarify. Okay, Shorty. So, no, you don't have to apply, but as I've said before, since the feds don't recognize that state law, it is possible that if you try to buy a weapon, you will be denied because the feds will not approve you for a weapon. So that's the nuance I was talking about between state law and federal law in the possession of weapons. The second part of your question is your vehicle an extension of your home? You know it ain't. Quit playing. Uh, Interestingly enough, though, I do know an attorney who tried that defense recently. It was a felon in possession of a weapon, and it was in the guy's car. And so they thought it would be a good idea to go to trial and claim that the defendant was living in his car. And so, therefore, the 5-year doctrine did apply to him, and he was not, therefore, a felon in possession of a weapon. The jury did not buy it, and that guy is now in prison. So, no, you know that it's not, a vehicle is not an extension of your home. But it is an interesting side note that I know someone that tried that defense. I had a bunch of, last week I didn't have my comments set up. I can see them today. So that should be fixed. But Bill asked me, basically, if someone breaks into your home, can you shoot them or do you have a duty to retreat? You do not have a duty to retreat. If someone breaks into your home, you can shoot them. This is Texas, Bill. So I had questions this week that sort of center on the charge of manufacturing and delivery, which is an enhancement from possession. So, in other words, if there is some evidence that you are either manufacturing or delivering drugs, that is an enhancement. So that whatever level you're at, it would bump it up to the next level. So if you had a third degree amount and it was manufacturing delivery, you'd be bumped up to a second degree. So manufacturing, somebody asked, what does manufacturing drugs mean? The simplest example is, a meth cook. Meth is made from a whole bunch of chemicals, and there's all kinds of documentaries out there that you can watch how different people set up different meth labs. But obviously, that's manufacturing. Kind of a marijuana grow house, same thing. You're making the product. Turning cocaine into crack, that's manufacturing. But typically, the way we see it most of the time is someone will have a quantity of any drug, meth, cocaine, whatever, and they'll have it packaged in individual packages of a certain weight, and they'll have a lot of those packets. So many times the state will argue that that's evidence that the defendant is practicing in, a drug dealer. So that gets you a manufacturing and delivery. Sometimes if you have a large quantity broken into smaller quantities and carrying it around packaged like that, law enforcement likes to say that that's because you have it not for personal use, but to sell. So they will try to stick you with manufacturing and delivery enhancement because of the way you kept the drugs. Another question, how long can you go to jail for drug manufacturing? So it's the same as anything else. It depends on the quantity, what drug was it, what level of felony, but all the felony levels apply. So, first degree is 5 to 99 or life. Could be 15 to life if you have over 400 grams, or, it could be a small case and not so severe. So it depends. And then, of course, as with every other crime, drug crime at least, you're always eligible for probation depending upon your criminal history, whether that be a deferred adjudication or a straight probation. You're going to have that option of probation. Which drug carries the highest criminal penalties? I kind of went over this last week, and that's all the penalty group 1 substances, the most common of which are cocaine, meth, heroin. They're going to have the highest penalties. So another same question, another way from somebody, and that is, what class felony is drug manufacturing? And that depends on the drug and the quantity as to what level felony you're going to be charged with. Here's a good question. Can my house or car be taken if I'm arrested for drug manufacturing? So the answer is sort of yes. And we deal with this a lot. I have several right now. In one case, for instance, my client drove his car to a location and sold to an undercover police officer. That's what initiated the investigation. Since he used that vehicle in the commission of a felony, which was the delivery of the narcotics, the state has now filed a separate action, which is a civil case, but it's a forfeiture case, to seize his vehicle. And this is becoming more and more common and abused by the state, in my opinion, and we'll get to that in a second. But in the civil action, the state, because it's a civil suit, not a criminal case, the state has a lower burden of proof in those cases where they try to seize your car, your house, money. There's all kinds of things that they'll try to seize. But in that case I was just talking about, so they're trying to seize my client's car because he used it in the commission of a felony, which was the delivery of drugs to an undercover police officer. So that case is separate from our criminal case, and typically what happens is the civil case is abated or stopped until we resolve the criminal case. So generally, depending on how we resolve the criminal case, we still go ahead and do the civil hearing, trying to fight the forfeiture. And in many cases, or there are some cases where I believe the state overreaches. I have a client right now who drugs were found at his home. And based solely upon that, the state is actually trying to seize his home because he owned his home outright. He did not have a mortgage. And so they're trying to seize his home because drugs were found in his home. It's my position that his home, the state cannot prove that he purchased his home with illegal proceeds. I know how he purchased his home, and it was legal, and we have proof of that. Nevertheless, the state wants to go forward with the forfeiture of his home because drugs were found in his home. This is rare, and once that case eventually gets litigated, I can let y'all know how it happens. But I don't think the state will be successful in that case. That's what I meant when I said I think the state sometimes overreaches on the seizures because they just try to apply the law to it as broadly as possible so they can try and take people's property. And it just seems fundamentally unfair to me, but we'll see what the court thinks in that case. So the answer is yes. your house, very rarely does the house happen, but your house or car can be taken if you're arrested for this was drug manufacturing, but in a drug investigation, let's just say. What makes drug manufacturing sentences harsher? Well, because it's an enhancement that enhances the punishment. And the reason or the thought behind that, as far as the state is concerned, is because they want to discourage drug dealers and discourage drug manufacturers, because those are the people putting drugs out on the street. And obviously they think they have an interest in preventing that. What drugs are most people caught manufacturing in the Galveston area? So this changes. You know, right now the top two, as far as I can tell from the cases we've been getting, are going to be methamphetamine and heroin. Cocaine has sort of fallen off in the Galveston area, and meth and heroin have taken over on the streets. I don't understand. Are minors given leeway on drug manufacturing charges? I'm not sure what that question is meant to ask. The juvenile system is definitely set up more towards rehab. And when I say rehab, I don't mean sending them to a facility. I mean, we'd like to try everyone involved in the system likes to try and help young people. You know, we want to see younger people get on the right path and succeed. So is there leeway? I mean, yeah, the whole juvenile system is sort of set up to not be punishing juveniles as adults. But it's not a specific leeway just for manufacturing, but in general, juveniles, we want to see them get on the right path and go forward and lead a successful life. Is it true that you can get up to life for a drug manufacturing charge? Yes. So any first degree felony carries a possible of 5 to 99 or life, and a fine not to exceed $10,000. Life in a first degree felony usually means 30 years, meaning if you get life, you'll be eligible for parole in 30 years. Now that's distinguishable from capital life, which is in, like a capital murder case. You can get life or capital life. Capital life means life without parole, which means you will never be eligible for parole. Regular life, non-capital life, in other words, means that you would be eligible for parole in 30 years. And that was pretty much the only questions I had for this week. I don't see any here in the chat, so I don't have. Let's see. Hey, Paula, I see Paula watching. I see Mom watching. I know Katie Joe's mom is watching. But I don't have any more questions for this week, so we're going to have to cut it short. Hope y'all have a good rest of your week, and I will see y'all next Tuesday.